every night. I'm waiting for you to come and queef with me all night. Queefing every day, queefing every night. What's going on, baby boy, baby girl? It's the Queef king of queefs. Back at it again. What day is today? Let's just double check. Friday, February 18th, 2022. Welcome back. Glad you made it. It's another social production. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, buckle up. We're going to do an hour-long session of just queefing. Oh, yeah, baby. They said take it up a notch. They said take it up a notch. And we're taking it up a couple of notches today with the Queefsies, baby. Shout out to all the queefers out there, the men and the women queefing out there, holding down the line. Holding the line, that's you. Queefing every night. Queefing is a penna. Queefing is a pastime activity. It is, dude, isn't it? Ladies, gentlemen, we should all be queefing more, man. Bring back the queefs. Free the queefs. That's what I'm saying, man. I got first and foremost, I should just, I got into queefing when I was probably, in, this was probably the late 80s. My father noticed I had a knack for queefing, and he's like, son, it's time we take this talent of yours and, just take it around town. Show people what you're capable of. So I'm like, all right, Pops, all right. This was, again, late 80s, early 90s. Queefing wasn't as popular as it used to be, it got a little bit more steam. Later in the 90s and the 2000s, man, the heyday of the queefing. Back when I started, pull it together, man. It's a queefing sesh. It's gonna be an hour long of just good old queefing together. But that's what it was, man. Back when I was doing it, nobody else was doing it. There were a few people out there. A few people out there were queefing strong, dude, holding it down. And how did I get involved in the game? There's so many inspirations. I can't count them all on one finger or one hand. It'd be hard to count anything on one finger, I'll tell you that. But queefing, man, that's, it has a long, rich history, actually. It's far more detailed and intricate than you might believe. A lot of people, again, it's the fake news, man. You try to, do a little bit of research, but it's, some people say it goes all the way back to the witch hunts, back in the old country, older countries. That's what it was. First and foremost, I should say, shout out to the pioneers, because women are the pioneers and trailblazers of queefing. So let's just, shout out, respect to all the ladies out there, holding it down, holding up. That's what it was. There was a lot of confusion. We didn't know what it was because history's been interrupted, right? History's been interrupted. We've been, They'd like us to think that we don't have as many powers as you and I actually have, and we're capable of a lot, man. But history kept getting interrupted, whether it was due to a natural disaster or like, oh, we're gonna burn down this library. That knowledge got lost, our powers got diminished. But before, man, way back in the day, women used to get a ton. Women had a special status in society. They were looked up to as the leader, almost equal to men, but also like it was kind of like, you had status, but different kind. You had maybe a chief. You had like a witch, and that's what it was. Witches were actually, they used to go around, picking herbs, spices, creating little potions and whatnot, and it started off really well. But then, I don't know what went wrong. But I think men started to get a little bit, because imagine this was a time where there wasn't a lot of tech. So you'd have women just, back in the day, it was not much to do. You'd had the land to work on. You were working on the land. Most fellas went out on the land. The ladies also went out on the land, but they stayed home too. And they'd be, you'd see old movies from like the 1400s or the 1600s. You see the old movies back then when they filmed it in black and white. There'd be an old lady or a young lady, mid-20s, 30s lady, just sweeping, mopping, brooming. And then all of a sudden she starts queefing, and then she just, that's what it was. The queef was actually a little bit of that's the power lies within the queen and the queef that is within her. So you'd queef and you'd have a little broomstick and you'd just jump up a little bit, and that's how it all started, man. People saw ladies with broomsticks just because that's what it was. There was not many industries. You could go shear sheep, you could go tend to the land, and you did it all whilst you were queefing. So ladies would be, part of the daily routine. What do you do? There was, limited schooling. You just lived. That's what it was. You just lived. You got incorporated into the household and the business and whatever it was. Or are we, what are we doing today? We're queefing today. That's what it was. So you go out there and you'd be brooming and mopping and sweeping. Next thing you know, you're queefing. You're rising up a little bit, just hovering a little bit off the ground. That used to creep men out because we didn't know what it was. There were, again, keep in mind, the high tech of the day was just like fire. That was as high tech as it got. So anything other than that, it was like, oh, what are you doing? What is this sorcery you're doing? But that's what it was, man. Ladies just and that's prior to that, it was, it had different purposes. The queef was used as a means of communication, actually. Sometimes different tribes would have women go on top of a cliff and just queef into the wind, man, facing west. They'd queef and then you'd wait for it. Maybe about, 5, 10, 15 minutes later, you hear a queef back. That was the original callback. You'd hear a reverse queef from the opposite tribe. How's the weather down there? What's going on? What kind of resources you guys got? Or, how's the buffalo supply? It's good, and it'll all just be communicated via queefs. That's the original Morse code, because it would echo. And women were, they took pride in it. They trained in it. They'd queef and they'd fine tune it. You could send messages. You could talk. Prior to that, you can check all these, fact check all of these. Please do your own research. Go out there and look into it, man. But before, women were the pioneers of ventilation and air conditioning. Before we had AC and regular ventilation everywhere, before that it was women. Why? Because you got 2 orifices. Men were kind of bummed out because we only got 1 orifice down there. And it's just 1 orifice, dude, and it's tight. You can't really do much with it. But women, you have 2, relatively speaking, larger orifices, and that's what it is. That's what it was. Back when the ancient people of the ancient lands, if you read the text, they'd be walking in the desert. They'd be walking in hotter climates. They'd be feeling, oh man, I'm gonna faint right now. Oh, it's so hot in here, out there, in the middle of the desert. What do? You ask the women nicely, hey, can we take a break right now? Can we cool it down a little bit? Can we cool it down? I see a nice palm tree, a little pond. Can we set the camels aside, let them get a couple of sippy of the H to the Izzo, and then and then that's what it was. Women took pride in that. They got there, 20, 30 of them, start queefing, very mellow. All of a sudden, what happens? The wind starts to pick up. Oh, we're cooling down by average 5 to 10 degrees Celsius, speaking, which is significant if you're out there in the old country and you're roaming the land. You're trying to find the people, your people, our people, us. And it got hot outside, man. That's what it was. But the beauty of it is it wasn't like a cool breeze. It wasn't a hot gust of wind either. It was perfect. It was room temp, body temp. Shout out to the ladies, man. That's humanity. Man, how many times did humanity survive because of, like, you know, shout out to the ladies out there. That's what I'm talking about. Who fucking reps you harder than your guy right here? Nobody. Nobody. Thank you. But then again, we got hit with an asteroid here and there, a little bit of beef in between the different tribes and peoples and what have you. Again, secret knowledge it went underground. It went underground. And women forgot. So that's and then you saw a revival back in, you know, the 20th century, and then we saw more of that, you know, later again in the that's when I got into it. 80s, 90s, man. Killing it. It's basically I'll tell you what, you're like, oh, how did you manage to, you know, that's something not many people, yeah, to each their own. Find what works for you. Find what works for you. I just had a natural talent for it, and it just, when I was sprinting, man, they said I couldn't sprint. I couldn't do the 100-yard dash anymore because they know that I was just blowing everybody out the water, dude, because I'd start running, right? And I've learned to, like, utilize all my bodily functions, and I'd queef, and it was like natural nos, basically. It was just a little bit, oh, let's release a little bit of that nos, baby, and then all of a sudden, boom. I had to stop doing it. I actually had to stop because there was, like, at the time, there were talks of the fastest man, Usain Bolt, and I didn't want to make him look bad. Shout out to Usain Bolt, but that's what it was, man. If your boy kept off, if they let your boy just, you know, go at it strong, gosh. But that's it, man. I hope to be able to pass down the torch one day, and I want to see younger generations of queefers coming up. Just, you know, we don't see many of that anymore out there. I want to see more of it. I'm a fan of the queef, baby. I'm a fan of the queef. Why? Many different reasons. Many different reasons. First of all, again, I'm kind of, here's the thing. I think nature, the universe, maybe you want to call it the creator, maybe you believe in God, maybe you just believe in, you know, we are what we are, but we're built the way we are for reasons. I think, you know, not many men can queef, but the ones that can, man, holy smokes. But the whole responsibility falls on the ladies' shoulders, and because with great powers comes great responsibility. I don't think the male population would have been able to handle it's a heavy sword to be wielding around like that, you know? It's got a lot of responsibilities. Next thing you know, you're getting faster. You're levitating. What's happening out there? You know, you can't just be, now we're disturbing too many things, and that's the thing with men. We go out there and do things. Women are a little bit more patient. Women like to think things. Men like to do and then ask questions after, right? You know, shoot first, ask questions later. Shoot first, nobody to ask questions. Why? Because you shot first. You know, it's just, that's what it is. But ladies should bring it back. Ladies should do it more often. I'm a fan of the queef, I'll tell you that. It's just, it's funny to, and so many technologies have been influenced by the queef, by the mechanism of the queef. A classic is the old whoopee cushion. You know, the little red balloons with the loose lips, and then you fill it up with air, and then you maybe mischievously place it under a pillow when you're younger, and the next thing you know, you're inviting somebody who, you know, you're an aunt, an uncle, a friend who's visiting your parents, a non-biological aunt or an uncle, and you're like, come, and you want to impress them, you're like, come sit here on this, I placed a cushion for you on this couch. And you're sitting, you're waiting there, and normally when you're younger, they'd follow your lead, and they're intrigued. What's this, little fella? It's got a cushion all ready for me on the couch. Normally I wouldn't sit on a cushion, I'd just sit on the couch, but for this particular instance, here's a ready-made cushion. What a thoughtful young man. And meanwhile, you're just, or what a thoughtful young lady, whoever dabbles in the art of the whoopee. You know, and they take your hand and they, you know, and they're like, "Oh, show me, where would you like me to say?" You're bubbling in there. You're just like, you're trying to hold it together. It's so good. And hopefully there's more people in the room, so it's not just like, because it's hard to be able to tell this story and like have people believe you. But once you've done it and there's actual witnesses around, oh my God, oh yeah, come sit on this little cushion. Make sure it's nice and comfy for you. He's gonna sit on the cushion, or she's gonna sit on the cushion. Oh my God, exciting. And then you wait for it. You look at them. You look at them. Just making eye contact. Man, they're wondering, man, this kid's really into getting me to sit on this cushion and this couch. Deep down inside, they feel a little bit odd. Something's off, but at the same rate, you're too young to be scheming scams. You know? What's this little fella conjuring up here? Is it just, but that's what it is. That's to get them when you're, that's what it is, man. You build that trust, you guide them, and they sit on the couch, and all of a sudden the loose lips of the whoopee cushion, just they go loose, dude. Excuse me, and then you start laughing, and it's just a big old, again, it's an homage to the queef. Everybody hits everybody right here, like, oh, he's so silly. Or she's so silly, whoever dabbles in the art of the whoopee, dude. They'll be proud of you. For a second or two, they might be, oh my God, you know? Get grandma to sit there and she wouldn't even notice. She'd probably think it's just another day. It's just another day that grandma just happened to sit on that cushion that you placed for her on the couch. Just another day in grandma's life. But man, wouldn't it be nice to embarrass grandma, grandpa, a relative, a family friend who's visiting? Oh my God, it's the best. And just, especially if they're a little bit self-conscious. Some people are, some people aren't. Best case scenario is that they're super self-conscious. Oh, the best. Find one of those dudes or ladies and then just, but that's what it is. We've lost the ability to, now we gotta outsource our queefs. You know, now we gotta resort to more plastic. Oh, I'm so tired of it. Because back in the day, it was just like queef on demand. Snap your finger, queef. You know? All of a sudden, what is it? Summer temperatures aren't that bad, are they? No, it's nice. It's actually kind of breezy, dude. That's what it is. I like the queef. The queef is, I find it cute. I find it, if I'm being totes honest with you, there's a part of me that it's definitely gone more in the realm of the private rather than the public. But I'm just, you know, I'm advocating for free in the queef, baby. But I find it endearing. I find it magical because, you know, you have certain capabilities, you don't use it, you lose it. And I'm just wondering, how do ladies not, you know, because if I had 2 orifices down there, dude, I'd just be queefing all the time. And I was, so, you know, it's different, but I stopped again. So it's just, everything's different timelines, really, and merging stories at this point. But the point is that if I had 2 orifices constantly working, I'd be queefing all the time, and I'd be blaming stuff on it too. You know, why are you late? Oh, I'm sorry, queefing accident. You're in a meeting. The companies are meeting. There's a merger. There's a big merger waiting for you, and it's your turn to do the presentation. Why don't you start off with a big old queef? Just, you know, shake it up in there. That's you're gonna close that deal. Whatever that deal is, it will be closed on that day. Because that's a power move right there. That's a power move, you know. Are you ready to do a presentation? Just, presentation is, it's done. We're here. Who's in charge? You're in charge. Why? Because you mastered the queef. On-demand queefing. It was actually one of the It was used for it had many different purposes. We used it for transport. If you guys recall again, if you look at the older movies, if you read the older texts, you'd see women were the first drivers. We have fleets of women pioneers there, and we had these. We don't have them anymore, of course, but there were these like ships, right? Before we got to before we came aware of the wind factor, and that's not reliable. Back in the day, you needed something consistent. That's what it was. Again, we're like, man, get 20, 30 ladies, lady pirates, lady seamen, lady sea women, put them on a ship. Which way we going? Just, we're heading west. All right, cool. Everybody syncs up. Ladies love syncing up, baby. That's what it is. Just dropping facts today. Ladies syncing up, and then all of a sudden we're queefing and we're picking up steam. Next thing you know, oh, what is this? It's a new land. It's a new land. You set off sailing into the ocean. You're gonna sail the 7 seas, and you're gonna queef all the way there and back. And everybody's excited. That's what it was, man. Before the windmill, before wind, before fire. It's after fire. Right around that time of fire. The queef also came around the same time, I think. Look into it again. These things happen. Information gets tampered with all the time. It's so tricky. Where did queef come from? Who started it? But that's me, baby. King of queefs. When I started to queef, nobody thought, they were like, oh, sure. Look at him go. He wants to be a queefer. Never gonna make it. Nobody believed in me, dude. Well, I was, when I set my mind up to something, I'm like, I'm gonna do this thing. There's nothing that's gonna stop me, baby. So I started little by little. Man, I remember, it was just freezing outside. I'd go out there and start queefing. I'm just like working on it every day, working on the queef, baby. Until it got better and better, and then eventually, like I said, family members started to notice. Local public figures started to notice. We started to, we heard other people were doing it as well, so we're like, man, we should get together, and we started, collaborate and work together and push each other and queef together. Eventually, we moved forward and created the provincial queefing competition, the PQC, back in 2014-15 champ right here. No big deal, of course, because I don't like to get cocky, baby. There's been, we ride on the shoulder of greats. That's what it is, and there have been plenty before me who've come and gone and have queefed their way all the way to the heights of glory and just queefing enlightenment. And I can't say that I'd be here without them today. So thank you, everybody. The ladies, the few men, the few strong men who defied physics, gravity, science, logic, witchcraft, biology, potion making, hopscotch, the crossword puzzle, skipping rope, alchemy. So many layers to this. There's so many. Don't you? And I don't want anybody to go out there and be like, man, I found this thing on the internet. Now I'm gonna be a queefer. Don't go out there hurting yourself, youngin. Don't go out there hurting yourself, young blood. Do it for the love of the game. Don't do it because, oh, I'm gonna be a big time queefer and I'm gonna go up there and they're gonna take my pictures while I'm killing the queef and just, what's he doing? He's doing a 360 queef. Oh, slow down. Slow down. First of all, I want you to be safe. All right? I want you to make sure that you're not hurting yourself or anybody else. And most of all, I want you to do it because you love it and you have fun. All right, don't go there, because if you think you're gonna be making money out of queefing, baby, don't. That's you should be, no. Just quit right now. Just quit right now. And if you think you can just dedicate like 5 minutes every now and again, I'm just gonna, I'm a recreational queefer, and I just think I'm gonna be able to make it pro, dude. Ladies, ladies know better than dudes. Again, there's a few exceptional fellas out there who take it up a notch every once in a while. The fucking gravity-defying, beautiful sons of bitches out there. But if you believe in it, if you think this is for you, then take it slow, take it step by step, and start with a tiny queef, dude. Start with a little, just how it is. Just how it is. Next thing you know, you start, queef underwater for a little bit. There's nothing better than queefing in water, because that's actually, again, the Atlanteans, it's been said, that used to travel via queefing. You get in single file, and you hold on to each other, and you just queef, and then you see, and alien radars had picked it up. That was the first time they actually noticed activity on Earth. Oh, what is that, a train underwater? How come we don't have that? And they came down and were like, no, it's just a bunch of people queefing underwater, but they're doing the train. And it's a beautiful thing. You don't see too many of it anymore. It's a long lost art that we're trying to bring back in the queefing community. And I think together, because we have the resources, we do. A lot of times people come and say, I don't have the equipment, I don't have the setup, I don't have the support. Listen, if you want to do anything, you gotta believe. You gotta believe, and that's what it is. When I started Queef, nobody believed in me in the beginning, man. Nobody believed in me. Like, look at this punk trying to queef out here. Who's he think he is? I'm like, that's what it was, man. That's deep down inside, I knew. I was destined for greatness. Through queefing, of course. I'd queef in the cold, I queef in I'd take a dip in the ice bath, queef for 5 to 10 minutes. I jump in the sauna with old men, master queefers. And man, was knowledge being passed around in those saunas. Oh, knowledge and just room temp air floating via queefs. In the beginning, and don't go in there, don't go in there sitting more than 5 minutes your first time, okay? I don't want you to be passing out. Next thing you know, I'm hearing about on the 6 o'clock news, young queefer passed out attempting to, don't go in there trying to take on Goliath when you've not stretched. Don't go out there trying to, just wing it. I'm just gonna wing it today. I'm just gonna wing it. You can't. It takes dedication, measurement. Your diet's got to be exact. Your sleep pattern's got to be on. It's got to be up there. And don't get discouraged, man. And I remember the first times I queefed, it didn't even feel like queefing. I'm like, what is this? I'm not even queefing anymore. But with a little bit of patience, a little bit of consistency, and the right diet and the right pressure, you don't need much, man. You don't need much. People are like, man, I gotta go to my local queefing gym. I need to see other people queef in order to be able to queef myself. You be the motivation for yourself. Why do you need to? And first of all, let me just say this. Please don't compare yourself to anybody. We all start off somewhere, and it's all dependent on you. If you want to start today, today's the day for you. But if you're gonna think you're gonna go into the queefing gym, or on the queefing track, or on the queefing court, or the queefing hexagon, if you think you're going to take it to the hexagon and just crush it, do you know that's the thing, man. I get cheesed a little bit whenever I hear about just average people thinking they can take on, the hexagon champion of queefing just because, they saw a couple of moves on the YouTube. They were just, mixing it with the fellas and the ladies, and they got into it, and all of a sudden they're feeling a little bit cocky. Man, maybe I can be the champ. I can't even, it just, I get cheese, because there's so much pride that goes into this. There's so much heritage, there's so much history. You gotta pay your dues, you gotta pay your respects, you know, to the queefing kings and queens that came before you. And that's what it is, man. You gotta, but if you play by the rules, if you just keep on consistently queefing, little by little, all of a sudden you'll notice, you know, like-minded individuals start attracting queefing individuals. It's just, you come together. It's the power of the queef. But I feel bad for the, you know, there so many ladies had to, unfortunately, you know, get burnt at the stake. What is this? The Salem witch hunt? That's how it was, man. Again, going back to the broomstick, the mop stick, you know, combine that with a little bit of queefing magic. Next thing you know, oh, we gotta burn her. She's manipulating me. She's queefing all over the place. I can't think. All of a sudden, other ladies who couldn't queef as well as you did back then, they get jelly. They get jelly, bro. They get jelly, lady. They're like, oh, look at her over there. Look at, you know, she's the, oh, Little Miss Queef Pants. Just queefing all that, and that's what it was, because you're only, you know, you'd be, again, not many things to do, but imagine you had a broom, you had a mop, you had a little Swiffer wet jet back then, and all of a sudden you're queefing. All of a sudden, what's happening? First of all, you're going in directions that no one's ever gone. Everybody's just like sweeping up, sweeping down, sweeping aside. You're going in circles. It's just you started. What did you do? You started first polishing business. Everybody was like, you want your little, you know, you want your home polish, get Nancy the queefer. She wicked good. First it started off like that, but then people had very little. Especially, that's what it was. I know it was like, everybody for the most part was fit and relatively skinny. And fat was reserved for the elite, for the aristocrats, for the, you know, kings and the queens. So there were chubs. They weren't able to queef like you and I. They weren't built for it, because, you know, again, these things take time and dedication. You can't be out of shape and going out there and queef. You're gonna hurt yourself. It's just, you go out and try it. But that's the thing. If you want to try it, try it. I'm not here to tell you how to live your life. But little by little, man, one day the queen was passing through the village. Next thing you know, she sees Queefing Nancy on her broom just fucking cleaning the whole court. Everybody singing, dancing. She got jealous, so she banned it, and she's like, witch, burn her. She's a witch. Next thing you know, Nancy's husband, who'd been, you know, sneaking into the barn house late in the evening, even though he's already finished work at around sunset and he should be home with Nancy the queefer, he's out there, you know, yip-yapping with Melissa, who barely even queefs. You got a perfectly good queefing wife at home. Why you gotta go talk to Melissa? John. Johannes. Applicable to the times. Johannes. Fucking talking to Melissa. And then all of a sudden he's coming up with a story. Yeah, Nancy's just, she breaking it down to Melissa. How she's a witch. Oh, she's so evil with her queefing technique. Not appreciative of the things that he's got. You know? Opening up his heart to Melissa while Nancy's all alone just queefing at home waiting for a man to get home. She's working on new tricks. I can levitate 6 inches off the ground. You know, fucking Johannes was getting tired of this. Because he could not levitate for the life. He had to save, if his, you know, if lives were dependent on Johannes Queefing just even like a millimeter, dude. Just a millimeter. Not even a full centi. Not even like 10 millimeters, dude. Just couldn't even fake it. He couldn't even fake it. He had no control of his lower limbs. Couldn't jump. The weakest calf muscles you've seen in the entire, no calves. Just shin. Just shin and bone. He's out there spreading rumors. Bernard, that was so easy back then. You could just call anybody a witch, especially if they're queefing, my God. She's casting a spell. She's just queefing, dude. She's just queefing. You're just jelly. You're just jealous. At first, they try to just, burn the witches by just, lighting a match and throwing it at them. But no bueno. Why? Because you light a match, toss it, she'd just be there, queefing, and it would just bounce back out. Bounce back out. Light a match, toss it, bounce back out. It took forever. That's why they were actually stopped, because it was just not efficient. It wasn't something you could maintain. There was no scaling it. And they realized soon that this is all just, propaganda and misinformation. So shout out to all the ladies who, put their bodies, their minds, their souls on the line for the art of the queef, baby. Long live the queefing queens. But your king's here, baby. You're king of queens and king of queefs, my mistake. Really does rhyme with king of queens too. Because the beauty of it, there's so many, it's kind of like playing music with your body without because if you fart, you could also make a very similar noise, but farting unfortunately sometimes has a not so pleasant smell or odor, which is, if it's just noise, so be it. That's just what it is, it happens. But if you can get odorless noises, now you're just making music. Now you're just whistling. That was actually the first whistle too, I'll tell you that. Whistling before we knew how to whistle with our mouth. Ladies were whistling far more than they are today. And again, I'm just astonished by the fact that you guys keep it all intact somehow. If I were going to any meeting, if I were going to work, if I were just outside, I'd be queefing all day, loud. Because why not? Why not? What's wrong with it? It's just like, because you have a hole right here, and you open it, and then there's noises that come out, and that's completely normal, completely fine, but you have another hole down there, an extra hole, and you happen to whistle or something, you just say, all of a sudden, oh, witch. Ladies, it's time to free the queef. It is time to take what's ours, yours. Sharing's caring, okay? Let's take what's ours, yours mostly, but ours, and bring it back. Take it up to where it belongs. Get the respect that it deserves. Don't let people crush your dreams. Don't let people tell you what to do. If you believe in something, go after it. Queefing was also used as a weapon at one point during the invasion, the big invasion, when the sides were fighting. When the sides were fighting during the invasion of and it was, you know what I'm talking about, mid-century, medieval times, mid-century, the invasion of the sides were fighting, right? There was a side with some color-coordinated clothing, and there was another side with also color-coordinated clothing, and the sides were fighting. This was before, again, all historical facts, you can go ahead, please read the books yourself, the good ones, and you'd find that before the bow and arrow came around, long before the days of the rocket launcher, women were out there on the front lines, the original lines, right? You know, what's going down? Somebody was queefing on the cliff. We got a message. There's an invasion coming. Oh no, don't worry about it. Why? Because we got plenty of women out there just ready to just put their bodies on the front line. You know, you'd grab a little, you know, you get a little rock, put it in there, grab a couple of, you know, if it's winter time, snowballs, pack them with rocks. Ladies, you know, take aim, ready, fire, and just launching, devastating impact, and so many people were killed, but the eggs had to be broken. We had to protect ourselves. It was hard, difficult times, okay? And this was, again, before the invention of bow and arrows, way before gunpowder, way before, you know, slingshots, way before nothing had elasticity. That's what it was. We didn't even know what elasticity was. We only knew how to pull back. We didn't know how to release, so that was a thing. These things all take, you know, it's like one thing leads to another and things get invented, but, you know, we take things for granted now. Anytime there's, invasion, get this, that, the other. Back then, it was women. Women would go there, face the enemy, rather, they would actually not face the enemy if you think about it. They would actually turn their backs to the enemy, which was also, again, talk about so many inspirations. You know, the Scottish were inspired by women queefing, because you had to turn there. You saw the movie. You'd turn your back to the enemy. You'd, you know, moon them, and then all of a sudden they're around. Oh, the level of disrespect. Oh, it was just like right there. Insults. Just, it's as if there's a wound in the enemy's, on the enemy's body somewhere. There's a wound, right? And you're just squeezing a little bit of lime juice and topping it off and sprinkling a little bit of that salt and pepper on it. That's what the mooning was back then. And then you top that off with a good old-fashioned queefing sesh. It's a done deal, baby. Land intact, property intact, titles intact, walls of the castle intact. Why? Because of ladies. Thank you. Man, look how far we've come. Sports, before any other sport was invented, the queefing games were up and about. They were, you know, this is even prior to the Olympics. Before the Greeks introduced the Olympics, women and a few good men were out there queefing. We're out there queefing hard, queefing fast, queefing strong. And again, it wasn't about competition. It was mostly about camaraderie, building a community. Different people, you'd have champions coming in from east, west, north, south, underwater queefers coming onto the land just to compete amongst the races, the one race. They couldn't take it. It was just too much for them. But the rest of us on land, we got along just fine. We were building relationships. My God, were we busy building relationships built on queefs? Queefing every night, queefing every day, queefing by your side, queefing every way. Queefing! 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 We're gonna queef tonight. Gonna queef tonight. It's gonna be a lot of fun queefing. Gonna have ourselves a queefing old time. Da 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 da. It's queefing time. Don't let your dreams be dreams, man. Keep chasing, keep going after it. Ladies and gentlemen, your boy's here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Queefing, of course. Where can you find this fine product for a limited, unlimited time, for eternity, because it's gonna linger on the lines. It'll linger on, dude. But if you want to get it fresh, you can find it on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays on the YouTubes, on the Instagrams. If you want to get fiscal about it, you can go down to Patreon. You know, lighten your load. Lighten your load. Go ahead, check out Patreon. That's there. We're expanding, thinking, shifting, changing, growing, shedding skin, gaining skin, all of it, we're doing all of it. And this is a collab. This is between you and I, the gang, the syndicate, once again at it. I want you to be asking questions. I want you to be having fun. I want you to just go ahead and tickle your damn self today a little bit if you have to. And never stop queefing, baby. I'll talk to you guys on Monday. Queef out.